Okay, hey, I am here today to do the Preptober tag because I want to. And it's the end of Preptober. I heard about this tag through Don Kozak at Super Cossack, whom I'll link below, but I will also link the original creator of the tag, who is Danny Darling, so that's there for you. Question 1. What are you planning on writing for NaNoWriMo this year? It is a near future speculative fiction piece dealing with themes of oppression, resistance, and colonization. That's what I'll say. What do you find to be the hardest part about planning? The hardest part about planning is that I'm not inherently a planner. So at this point in my writing practice, I am what I call a headlights planner. So I only see so far ahead of where I am in my book. I have a general overarching structure, but I don't have notes on how the scenes are going to break down to get me from one place to another on those plot points. It's not necessarily a one-to-one correlation of scene to plot point for me because of the way that I'm writing my book, because of a lot of the, multimedia elements that I'm trying to bring in, not necessarily literal multimedia, but the sense of an overwhelming world. If you're looking for an example of that, I recommend The Stone Gods, which I talked about in another one of my Preptober videos, which I will link below. It's part of my survival kit because it's one of my writing role models. I think with plotting, one of the things that is a challenge or a potential pitfall is that I personally may need to change a lot of that plot later when the story takes a new turn, if I am really organically following my characters, or I can get into a position where I am stuck and I sort of have writer's block and I can't write because I'm trying to stick too closely to a predetermined form, and that's just not working for my characters and my story. Question 3. What is your favorite part to plan? I like visual work and I like character development. So I love to collect photos of my characters. I like to make timelines and charts, and I like to color code things and at really anything that involves colors and objects in space so that I can make the writing process more visual and the abstraction of the writing process more concrete. That's what I'm about. Question 4, do you use a structured plot outline / worksheets, or do you word vomit? So again, it's sort of a mix of the two. I do like to use several different types of plot outlines to think about my story from various different angles. I think that allows me to get a good sense of the story, a good feel of it, a good handle on it, without getting too bogged down in feeling like I am following a script, step by step, and there's no room for creativity. Question 5, what resources do you use to help you plan? So planning for me either happens in Scrivener, where I'm using folders and documents to record all of my notes and sort of start to structure the novel within those folders and documents. I don't do the structure of the novel separate from that. I just sort of create this skeleton of functional items within Scrivener that I can then type into. And in Scrivener, I also collect a lot of images and research from the web and stuff like that. Or my planning will happen in my notebooks when I need something that's a little bit more organic feeling than, the computer. And I do think it's important to experience the physicality of writing. The fact that, we move our hand in this way, for example, to make an A. We don't experience that when we type on a computer. So it's just a different form or way of viewing the writing process. And that'll happen in my notebooks with my many colorful pens and washi tape because I'm like that. I know many of you are too, and that's really helpful. I do also use note cards at the beginning of the process sometimes, or when I'm getting stuck later in the process, but I don't rely on those that heavily. They tend to go away pretty quickly because, again, I want to achieve this balance between plotting and writing organically and discovering things. I also use a lot of different structures, as I was talking about in the last question, to help me think through the plot. I'll go to the 36 plot points, I'll go to Fractix Pyramid, I'll go to the hero's journey, and I'll go to my writing role models to sort of see how I want this all to come together. Question 6. Do you have a survival kit for Nano? Yes, I do. I made a whole video. I'll link it below. Question 7. Do you have a favorite snack to eat while writing? I honestly don't snack that much while writing. I'm much more likely to straight up take a break and have a meal or have a snack, or snack while doing a little bit of research or something like that. But it's also a nice opportunity to look away from the computer for a while. It's like good for our eyes and stuff, they tell me. Eating does slow me down. It can make your fingers dirty, or it just is a thing that is between you and the computer. And when I'm really in flow, I just want to, push right through to my writing goals. So if I am snacking, I would love for it to be on chocolate. And I'm probably writing in my notebook or something that requires me to slow down my writing process a bit. Question 8. Do you listen to music while writing? Yes, I do, but it has to be instrumental because the lyrics will distract me. I have a number of playlists that I've found that really work for me, and in fact, music is really important to my writing process in terms of getting me into a really focused state, again, that flow state that is just honestly the best, whether it's flow for writing or flow for work or whatever it is, But with those playlists that I use, a lot of them are, instrumental music or new agey music, or I don't know, that has a bad rap, but I think it can be useful for this type of thing. Sometimes film scores, but again, it has to be a specific kind of film score. I regrettably cannot listen to just the Lord of the Rings soundtrack all the way through because there's just way too many like ups and downs and whoa! Yeah, and that gets weird. If it doesn't match up with the tone of what you're writing, it can be just as distracting as lyrics. Also, I just know Lord of the Rings so well that, I don't want to be thinking about Frodo and Boromir while I'm writing about my original characters, because this is not fan fiction. Anyway, but for me, the music doesn't so much inspire me as it gives my brain this other thing to focus on that sort of blocks out other ideas that might be distracting me from my writing, like my to-do list or what's happening outside of my window or what have you. So I've also been in writing classes where people use music as a prompt and they're like, use this music to inspire you to write something, and I'm just like, like the music, it's not inspiring me, it's just putting me in writing brain. I don't know if that makes sense. It's fine. Question 9. Do you plan to incorporate this year's theme into your novel? No. Question 10. Do you think you're gonna win Nano? Okay. So before I started filming this video, when I was looking through the questions and sort of outlining my responses, I was like, yes, totally. I mean, I had just worked on my survival kit and I was like, oh my god, I have so many things that are going to help me. I have so many writing tools and tricks of the trade, and I've done this before, and all of those things are true and remain true, and I am glad that I have those things to sort of catapult me into this month. To be honest with you, I have been having a bit of a hard writing week. I really wanted to finish part 1 of my book, and so that I could start part 2, where I sort of get a little bit of a reset, not too much, but a new sort of springboard and jumping off point into the rest of the novel for NaNoWriMo. Just been having a hard time with that last chapter in section 1, and so eventually I did decide to move on to section 2 just so that I can keep the gears turning and keep everything moving along. But I'll need to go back to that, and I may not do that until after Nano, or maybe I'll do it next week. I don't know. But every time I have a bad writing week like that, or when I get stuck on those things, right, it does sort of lower my confidence, or maybe, I don't know, slightly turn into a spiral of self-doubt. It's fine. It happens to everyone. And so the thing about Nano that I think is useful going in, and honestly, this is just the thing about life, like the writing life, but just like turned up a notch, is it's important to understand that you will have bad days and you will have good days. And I think the thing that is most useful to me is my writing tracker, and not even the one for this year. I referenced this in my survival kit video, but behind me I do have an old writing tracker from a year when I won NaNoWriMo, and this is an argument I might give you for having a physical word tracker, because then it becomes an artifact of that experience. I can see on that word tracker that there are like 7 days where I didn't write anything, and there are other days where I wrote like 300 words, and there are days when I wrote like 6,000 words, right? That's just the kind of writer I am. I'm a sprinter, not a marathon runner. But that also means that I know going into Nano that, you know, if something comes up, if I don't get started on the track that I want to, I can still win. I can. I've done it in the past, right? It's a nice artifact. The other thing I will say, as I said earlier in my A Nano for Every Novel video, is I think we also need to, as writers, be kind to ourselves. Remember that we live in bodies and in communities, and know that sometimes you may decide to make a conscious choice that partway through the month, Nano is not working for you in the traditional form, and you know, you can make that change. You should feel empowered because this is not life or death. Like, no one's going to live or die based on Nano. So those are the two takeaways from that, really, that I am saying for you, but I'm also saying for myself, is one, you don't have to win every battle to win the war, which means you don't have to win every day, right? Sometimes these like really tired cliche metaphors are useful. And two, that you don't have to win the war, because it's not actually a war. Nobody's living and dying. War is a bad metaphor. Okay, that is all, folks. If you liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up below. Please do think about subscribing, because throughout NaNoWriMo, I will be vlogging my way along. And so you can keep up with me during my trials and tribulations. If you are vlogging through NaNoWriMo, post it in the comments, let me know so that I can follow you also, because I am always looking for that community. But bonus, throughout the month of November, not only will I be vlogging, I will be giving y'all some prompts to get you started on maybe some sprints. Also in my survival kit, I talked about this beautiful little red box that I got from a friend that is full of writing prompts. And so my thought is that maybe my channel can just be a little red box of writing prompts for you. You just like put your phone in like a red case, and then it's basically the same thing, right? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye. La 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 la. This is like actor warm-ups. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. That's very cliche. I hope I'm not too washed out.